The Green Bay Packers had no business beating the San Francisco 49ers. They were 10-point underdogs going into the game. And yet, over the run of play of the game, they absolutely should have beaten the San Francisco 49ers. And for a season of retooling, of reworking, but not rebuilding, they had a golden opportunity. They let it slip through their fingers. They have to, as Jaden Reed said after the Falcons loss, let it build them, not break them. We break it down live on YouTube after the game.
You are Locked On Packers, your daily Green Bay Packers podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
You are Locked On Packers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I'm Peter Bukowski, and I cover the Packers for The Leap, a newsletter I would love for you to subscribe to. Follow me on Twitter, Peter_Bukowski. Follow the podcast on Twitter, Locked On Packers. Like us on Facebook. Subscribe to the podcast, iTunes, Spotify, Google Podcasts, wherever you find podcasts. You will find Locked On Packers, the #1 Packers podcast on the internet. And the show for fans who know what happened, they want to know why and how. Today's episode brought to you by our friends at Prize Picks, the easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. Go to prizepicks.com/LockedOnNFL and use code all lowercase LockedOnNFL for a first deposit match up to $100. It's hard to even put into words this moment. And the reason is because if I had told you in October that the Packers would lose in the second round of the playoffs 24-21 to the San Francisco 49ers, you would have told me I was crazy. And I mentioned this on Twitter that it feels in some ways like what happened in 2014, where you go into the game, you are clear underdogs on the road. Now that 2014 team was much better over the run of the season than this team was. But just watching the game, the way the game played out, the Green Bay Packers controlled that game as well for 3+ quarters. And they lost. And so you say, okay, the better team eventually won, but not the better team over the run of the game. I'm not at all sure that the better team on the field Saturday night won the game. And we're going to talk about that part of this in a second, that, you know, they didn't even play their best game and they still, by all rights, really should have won the game. And we can talk about the missed calls, and they were myriad. You had the missed intentional grounding, clearly from the pocket, would have set up 3rd and a mile. Maybe they still throw the touchdown to George Kittle, but that's at least a 4-point swing in a game you lose by 3. You have the missed spot on the 4th down that where Jordan Love seemed pretty clearly to get to the line to gain. They give him a bad spot. It wasn't going to get overturned on replay. That is at least a 3-point swing. So that's a pretty big set of swings just by bad officiating. And then, of course, you have the missed field goal. This game is tied at the end. Jordan Love doesn't have to try and fit that ball into wherever he was. I don't know where he was trying to throw that ball. That was his worst impulses coming to the fore in that moment. And Jordan Love, over the course of the game, I thought played really well. All things considered, missed the one throw on 3rd down to Tucker Kraft that turned into an interception, but the Packers end up getting a key stop there. They had every opportunity to go seize this game, to go win this game. They were winning this game into the 4th quarter. And you could tell early. They controlled that whole first drive, and they go down and they get 3 instead of 7. And that set everything up. 3 red zone trips in the first 3 possessions. You come away with 6 total points. You're just not going to beat the 49ers doing that. Darnell Savage, a pick six in his hands that he drops. Keyshawn Nixon, an interception goes right through the wickets. Would have been like at like the 30-yard line of Green Bay with a chance to go punch it in. It was missed opportunities offense, missed opportunities defense, missed opportunities special teams. This was, in terms of who is to blame for the loss, it's everybody. The offense missed opportunities in the red zone. The defense missed opportunities to create major negative plays. The 49ers capitalized on their opportunities. The Packers couldn't. And I said coming into the game that, win, lose, or draw, this was going to be valuable experience. And I still think that's true. Like I have ultimately a very positive way of viewing this at the end. I know a lot of fans are going to be stuck in the moment, in the loss, because they could have gone to the NFC Championship game, very likely could have beaten either the Bucs or the Lions in the NFC Championship game. You certainly would have given them a really good chance. If they beat the 49ers, they can beat anybody. If they beat the Cowboys the way that they did, they can beat anybody. We know that's true. But in a lot of ways, that makes this even harder to fathom, because we know, as people who watch the Packers, you don't get as many opportunities at this as you think. And so to have all of these opportunities go through your hands, go begging, it's a tough pill to swallow. This young team, you hope what it does is hardens their resolve, is makes them say, next year, this isn't going to happen again. Because they had the ball, they had the lead the entire game. San Francisco gets the touchdown, but then the Packers come out in the third quarter. They score 15 points in the third quarter. They hold the lead going into the fourth quarter, and the 49ers score 10 in the fourth quarter to win it. 21-14 in the fourth quarter. Packers had the chance. They drive down. They get the field goal opportunity, 41-yarder. That is easy money. Every NFL kicker is expected to make that 60-70% of the time. No kicker missed more kicks this season than Anders Carlson. And I said before the season, or before the preseason, or before the postseason, before the playoffs, hey, Anders Carlson, you're still our guy. Maybe the move is to go get Mason Crosby. Mason Crosby makes that kick. Mason Crosby makes that 41-yarder. And he of course makes those, the 23 and 29-yarders, like sub 30-yard. You hate to kick sub 30-yard field goals. Packers didn't really have a choice in those scenarios. And you can't miss the Love throw at the end. There's just no reason to make that throw into traffic, trying to get the ball to Christian Watson. And unfortunately, this is how multiple games have ended this season. The Raiders game, that was a good decision, bad throw, Christian Watson. Broncos game, look, the play was meant to go there. It's a desperation heave, but it ends in interception. Same thing against the Steelers. They had opportunities to win all of those games, but late, they couldn't make it work. Jordan Love, 3 game-winning drives in his NFL career. Did it just a couple weeks ago against the Texans, and did it in a put-away spot against the Bears, a top 10 defense. This Packers offense still moved the ball against this 49ers defense. 5.3 yards per play against this defense is not bad at all. Now, the interceptions, not great, Bob, to be sure. They had opportunities. And what I said on this show was, if you go in there and you get beat out, you get blown out, whatever, you get beat though, that there was value in that. because then you see what the standard is. That is what happens when you get those turnovers. You take advantage of your opportunities. Even if Brock Purdy was mostly bad in this game, Green Bay couldn't take advantage of those opportunities. You have to do it. So this ends up being a terrific learning opportunity for this young Packers team. But the problem is you'd much rather learn as you win. Because they deserved to win. They played well enough to win. They just didn't. And so you have to regroup. I don't know that you have to make tons of changes. I thought overall, like, the defense played pretty well in this game. 5.6 yards per play for this 49ers team. I know no Deebo Samuel, but still, this team is loaded with talent at home with the rest. Defense played pretty good. Now, that last drive, you had an opportunity to get a stop to win the game. You couldn't get it done. You had the chance to force a field goal. Now, it gets down to enough time elapses, and then it's too late. Like, Kyle Shanahan's going to go no matter what. This defense, we can't just talk about the missed opportunity on offense. They were losing when Jordan Love had the ball. They were winning when the defense was on the field. Go get off the field. Make one play. Make two plays. And they couldn't do it. But do I think you need to make structural, huge changes to this team? No, you don't. But in a lot of ways, that almost makes it worse. It really does. It almost makes it worse. We're going to talk about that part of this, though, the future part of this, in just a second here on Locked On Packers. Today's episode brought to you by our friends at eBay Motors. Passion, drive, and patience. What brings home the winning trophy is also what keeps your ride or die alive. eBay Motors has everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance. From superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, and more. Whether you're into speed, power, style, eBay Motors has you covered. With over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die, you'll always find exactly what you're looking for. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time or your money back. Because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber, not cash. With all the parts you need at the prices you want, it's easy to turn your car into the MVP and bring home that win. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. eBay Guaranteed Fit only available to U.S. customers. Today's episode also brought to you by your friends at FanDuel. Yes, the Packers lost. I still made a little bit of money. I had them covering the 10 with the total over 19.5, which they only barely covered, but they covered. So that works for me. The over hit in the morning, or the earlier game with the Ravens and Texans, had that one as well. New customers get $150 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place a $5 bet. That's $150 in bonus bets, win or lose. Live same game parlays, new bets in the Explore tab, make a parlay in the Parlay Hub. The best way to find popular parlays. I get ideas in the Parlay Hub all the time. I don't always use them, but I'm like, oh, that's an interesting idea. Let me actually put this and this and this together. And now you got a stew going. Visit FanDuel.com/lockedon and make your first bet a layup. FanDuel, official partner of the NFL. And thanks to everyone who makes Locked On Packers their first listen every day. Locked On has launched the first ever national sports 24/7 streaming channel on YouTube. Locked On Sports Today, here for you 24/7, covering the top sports stories of the day with the local experts of Locked On, plus our national shows covering every league. Go to Locked On Sports Today on YouTube and subscribe to the first ever national sports 24/7 streaming channel. The Packers just did not play their best. And unfortunately, this has been a thing that has happened in the Matt LaFleur era. Like, if you play your best and lose, fine. Like, you go back to that 2009 game, the Packers get off to a really slow start in that game. But at least offensively, they played at their absolute apex in the second half of that game. This was just nothing working. And really it is the case if you go back to the biggest heartbreaks of the Aaron Rodgers era in the postseason. A lot of it comes down to they just didn't play well. They just didn't play well. Like if you're going to win a thriller, you're going to win a classic, or you're going to lose a classic where both teams just fighting tooth and nail. But they've come up short in these games. That being said, the difference between this game and that game, and this has been said on Twitter, and I was saying it ahead of this game, that regardless of what happens now, and regardless of what happened in the game, this is the beginning of something, not the end. 2020, 2021, that was one less chance that they were going to have with Aaron Rodgers to win a Super Bowl. Now, this was just the first chance that you had with Jordan Love. And I put this out on Twitter, and I'll bring this back around, but I put this out on Twitter, and I said, okay, the Packers lose close to the 49ers. Check. And the Lions win, or the Bucs win, doesn't matter. But let's say the Lions win, and they go out and they get blown out by the 49ers next week. Who is favored to win the NFC North next year? I think it's going to be the Packers. I think it's going to be the Packers. I think this team is and should be the favorites next year to win the NFC North. That is the talent that this team has. They did not play their best. They came out, they played pretty well. They did not play good situational football, which you wouldn't expect from a young team. And they got beat. But we saw the talent. We saw what Aaron Jones can do in a game. 18 carries, 108. The first 100-yard rusher against the 49ers in 51 games. It's wild. We saw Romeo Doubs for the second game in a row in the playoffs be a big part of what you're able to do offensively. Now, just missed what could have been a big play on a hole shot on that last drive. Maybe Love doesn't have to try and fit the ball in. But there is so much here. You know, we have the whole first segment about missed opportunities. That leads perfectly into this part of this. Because they had it. They had it won. This team was good enough to beat the 49ers in the first chance any of these players have really had at this moment, other than Aaron Jones, Jair Alexander, Kenny Clark, Preston Smith. The whole offense is new to this. They've never been in this moment. The offensive line held up pretty well. Aaron Jones, now you had the big fumble. Not ideal in that spot. But they're able to come back. They're able to counterpunch. 49ers come down and score. They come out. And they get that touchdown in the third quarter. They get the 2-point conversion. They fight back. This team didn't just roll over. And this is an encouraging game from the standpoint of now you see what winning looks like, and now you have felt that pain of losing. You're a young team. It's not just all going to be handed to you. It's not just going to be easy every time you go out there. You're not just going to you're not going to cakewalk through these playoffs. They didn't play their best. Matt LaFleur didn't coach his best. Joe Barry didn't coach his best. Guys didn't finish enough tackles. They didn't block quite well enough. The rain certainly mattered here. There's no one exposed anybody. The 49ers didn't expose the Packers. The 49ers were 10-point favorites in this game. They won by 3. Barely. Like it is telling how many 49er fans are on the stream right now trying to gloat. This was supposed to be a blowout. The number 1 seed with the extra week of rest at home, all their dudes. This should have been a blowout. Supposed to win by 10 plus. And it was only a 3-point game because the Packers kicker missed a chip shot field goal. This Packers team, what they just proved is they can beat anybody, and the only team that can beat them is themselves. And what a great lesson that is. What a great lesson that is for them. Because it gives you confidence, but it also says you have to be on your P's and Q's every game, or in the playoffs, these teams are going to beat you. And that's what happened. This team next year can beat anybody. But we also know that they're capable of beating themselves. So take that knowledge, use it to motivate you this offseason. Come back better, stronger, faster. Brian Gutekunst has 1 million picks in the top 100. Add some more young talent to this team, and let's go. They showed they can hang with any team in the NFL. If they can hang with the 49ers on the road, off rest, they can not just hang, outplay anybody. This can be a championship caliber team next year if they play their best. If they play their best. And now they see what happens if you don't. We're going to put a bow on this season, a bittersweet ending to this season, in just a second here on Locked On Packers. Today's episode brought to you by our friends at Prize Picks, daily fantasy sports made easy. With basketball season here, you can now pick combo projections across football and basketball with specials leagues, a league created specifically for combo projections that include 2 or more players from different sports or leagues. So LeBron and Travis Kelce, 10.5 3-pointers made in receptions. Now we're having fun. All you have to do is put a couple players together and their projections, their statistical projections that Prize Picks picks. You don't have to do it. They decide. This is the number, and you decide if you think they're going to produce more or less than that projection. You put 2 to 6 players together, you can get up to 25 times your money. $10 into $250 with just a few taps. Why wouldn't you want to do that? Quick withdrawals, easy gameplay, and an enormous selection of players and stat types are what make Prize Picks the #1 daily fantasy sports app. So go to prizepicks.com/LockedOnNFL and use code LockedOnNFL for a first deposit match up to $100. That's prizepicks.com/LockedOnNFL and use code LockedOnNFL for a first deposit match up to $100. Prize Picks, daily fantasy sports made easy. And thanks to everyone who makes Locked On Packers their first listen every day. We hope you like starting your day with us as much as we like starting our day with you. Locked On has launched the first ever national sports 24/7 streaming channel on YouTube. Locked On Sports Today is here for you 24/7, covering the top sports stories of the day with the local experts of Locked On, plus our national shows covering every league. Go to Locked On Sports Today on YouTube and subscribe to the first ever national sports 24/7 streaming channel. This is about where I thought this season would end for Green Bay coming into the year. Before the year, I said this was a 10-7 team. They go 9-8. They had a couple games they probably should have won. They could have been 11-6, 12-5. I didn't think coming into the year they were a team capable of hanging with the best teams in the conference. I didn't think in a game like this they would be able to go toe-to-toe with the San Francisco 49ers. But I also didn't think Jordan Love would play like the best quarterback in the league over the last 2 months of the season. And he did. I didn't think Dontavian Wicks would so seamlessly step into this role and thrive. I didn't think Jaden Reed would be this good. I didn't think Rasheed Walker could come in and step in and play as well as he has. I had no idea Carrington Valentine was this good. I did not know Carl Brooks would come in and be this effective. To see Quay Walker take a little bit of a step, to see Darnell Savage making plays, although, of course, he missed his big opportunity in this one. And the two most important things that I think to come out of this season were, one, what is Jordan Love? Is he good? Is he bad? Is he indifferent? We got the reporting from Ian Rappaport that there was likely going to be a contract agreement this offseason. They can't sign that until May because they just signed an extension and you need a year before you can sign a new extension. But none of this game changes the way that I feel about Jordan Love and the way that he played over the last 2.5 months when he played like the best quarterback in the league. He showed he is a franchise quarterback, that he can play as well as anyone in football. And Matt LaFleur showed he is one of the best coaches in the league to keep this team together, to get this level of play out of Jordan Love and Dontavian Wicks and Jaden Reed and Luke Musgrave and Tucker Kraft and all of the flux and the offensive line, all that stuff. To get that level of play, Matt LaFleur showed a lot. He showed a lot. Now, this defense didn't take a step. In some ways, that was a little bit predictable because Joe Barry was still the coordinator. They really didn't lose this game because the defense was terrible. 24 points, against this 49er team. Like you kind of feel like you had to win. I said if the Packers want to win, they have to keep the 49ers in the 20s. No one has really kept them in the 20s. The Vikings did, kept them under 20. They won. The Browns kept them under 20. They won. The Bengals kept them under 20. They won. Basically, every other time, it's in the 20s. Like, this team wins when they get because they score 30. Keeping this in the 20s was a good job by this Packers defense. Does that mean I think Joe Barry should be back? No. If his contract is up, especially. Same is true, frankly, of Rich Bisaccia, but that's a separate thing. I don't expect them to fire him. This team put together a remarkably fun year. And the way we remember this season, I think, will be colored a lot by the way the next couple years play out. So like the 2009 season was incredibly heartbreaking the way that ended in overtime in Arizona. But they won the Super Bowl the next year. And so you kind of forget that happened. And 2013, 2012, 2013, 2011, they win heartbreaking or lose heartbreaking games in the postseason. We kind of forget how heartbreaking those games were because 2014 happened. And that heartbreak is just outsized in everything. If the Packers have a real chance to win the Super Bowl next year and the year after and the year after that and the year after that, because this young core continues to grow and evolve, and because Jordan Love continues to grow and evolve, and because Matt LaFleur continues to get the best out of this team, then we truly will remember this season and this game as the start of something. I truly believe it was. But if it's not, if Jordan Love regresses, if, there are a lot of things that can happen here. I don't want to go too far down the negative road. Then you go, that was their best chance. You hope this was not their best chance to go in a Super Bowl. You hope it wasn't. I don't think it will be. This young team to fight and scratch and claw from 3-6 losses to Tommy DeVito and Baker Mayfield. Mayfield loss doesn't look so bad now. to come back and finish the season the way that they did, to go to Dallas and win that game the way that they did, to show the world, hey, look, we are here. We are ready to compete right now. And in the end, they were. I'm shocked. Like I said, the Packers have a chance to shock the world. They did. They didn't win, but they shocked the world by competing in this game. 10-point underdogs. And they're winning the whole game. They should have won this game, or at least taken it to overtime if Anders Carlson could just make a field goal. Now, maybe, who knows, Kyle Shanahan, maybe he goes for 2. Frankly, I doubt it. Just not who he is. But then that last possession, maybe you're playing for overtime. Who knows what happens from there? So much progress is not going to be undercut by one game, by one possession. Maybe you can say 2 possessions because of the field goal. The 4th and 1, they get robbed. They went toe-to-toe with this team. The Packers, they got robbed in 2014. Big injuries 2015. They come back 2016. They're in the NFC Championship game again. If this Packers team stays healthy next year, they can be a championship caliber team. They can. It's going to take a good offseason. It's going to take personal growth by everyone. But they showed how close they are. So much closer than we ever thought possible coming into the season. In our heart of hearts, you never could have believed that they would get to this point to be on the precipice of going to the NFC Championship game. You never would have believed it. And yet they almost did it. And it wasn't fluky at all. Not the way that they did it, because it was the same way that they've done it all season. The same way that they've beaten teams all season. The same way that they've nearly beaten teams all season. Now, the unfortunate part is it's also the way that they've lost games this season. At the end, chance to win it, chance for the defense to get off the field, they can't. Tommy Cutlets, they can't. In this case, not only did Jordan Love's kicker let him down, so did his defense. Sort of a fitting way to end his first season as a starter, much the same way that a lot of the Aaron Rodgers' first season as a starter ended. The future is so bright for this team. And the pain of this loss is going to be felt for a long time, and I understand that, and that's real, and that's true. And I'm not going to deny that that's going to be the case. Feel it. I hope they do. I hope they feel it. I hope they feel it all off season. I hope they feel it for the next 6 months. And that they come back with their piss hot, as Matt LaFleur would say. And that they come back ready to make next season grimy. Because this team, man, they were having fun. They were balling out. This team is so talented. The future is so bright for this team. I'm not sure, and I said this after last week, I'm not sure there's another team that I would trade the next 5 years of for this team's next 5 years. I still believe that. In fact, if anything, this game was a validation of that. This team is so close. I don't believe this is a big brother thing. They showed that in this game in a lot of ways. If Anders Carlson makes that kick, if the referees don't miss 2 huge calls, Brock Purdy threw them 2 interceptions. They just missed them. Darnell Savage one especially, man, that's just in his hands. They're every bit as good as this team. And that's a different thing that means a different thing than it did in 2021. When you're the number 1 seed and you go, wow, that 49ers team, every bit as good as that 13-win team Packers. No, this 9-win Packers team was every bit as good as the hegemon of the NFL this season, the team that blew everyone out except when Trent Williams and Deebo Samuel were hurt. Or they were playing against Carson Wentz. That team, the Packers went toe-to-toe with that team. They can beat anybody. So this is going to be a really fun offseason. An unequivocally successful season. I'm not the kind of person that says, if you don't win the Super Bowl, it's not a success. No, this was a successful season. Jordan Love proved he is him. Matt LaFleur showed he is more than just an Aaron Rodgers lackey. This young talent, this draft class, unbelievable. Brian Gutekunst absolutely validated in his approach to this season, his drafting ability. He's got a chance to go back and add even more pieces to this team. And now They can go make a real run in 2024, which is always the goal. This team was ahead of schedule. So yes, this is a heartbreaking loss, but next year was always the thing. Now you've gotten huge experience. You get the great win. You see what that feels like. You get the gut punch loss. Now you know what that feels like. Face that first feeling and let that second feeling motivate you. Pressure is a privilege. And now there's going to be pressure on this Packers team next year. I can't wait to see how they respond. I really can. All right, we're going to be back. This is going to go out Sunday. We'll be back Monday. Normal time, normal stuff. Off season. For those of you who are new to the program, we stay the same in the off season, at least most of the off season. We're still 5 days a week. We're still churning out content. We're going to be talking about this team, what comes next, all that good stuff, all off season. Follow me on Twitter, Peter_Bukowski. Follow the podcast on Twitter, Locked On Packers. Like us on Facebook. Subscribe to the podcast, iTunes, Spotify, Google Podcasts, wherever you find podcasts, you will find Locked On Packers. And anytime you want to come hang out with us live, like we are right now, we're going to do some more live stuff this off season. Certainly big news. We'll be live. Packers fire Joe Barry. We'll be live. If they hire a new guy, if they fire Joe Barry, we'll go live. Big offseason announcements, we'll go live. So we'll still be doing plenty of things live on our YouTube page. Subscribe so you can stay Locked On Packers.